Donald Trump is having a disastrous Tuesday. It began with Iran's lead advisor to the Ayatollah named Mohsen Razai, and he was taunting Donald Trump, saying the Strait of Hormuz, Donald, will remain forever closed until the United States changes its behavior and accepts Iran's conditions. Then in the Red Sea, by the Bab el-Mandab Strait, the Iranian-backed Houthis struck 2 Saudi Arabian tankers, killing 3 crew members, including 2 Pakistani nationals and 1 Indonesian individual, per Reuters. So then the United States struck a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz, which it claimed was linked to Iran, although it was a Panama flag cargo vessel, the MV Vela, which did not appear to actually be linked to Iran, and it had stopped at a UAE port, but CENTCOM was bragging about it nonetheless. Back here in the United States, you have Americans mocking Donald Trump, as it has been learned, of course, that he was hiding in a catering container truck in order to escape Air Force One when he believed Iran was going to blow up the old Air Force One in Turkey, while Donald Trump left the press to take the flight on the old Air Force One. Now, when it comes to Donald Trump's company, we're learning what a utter failure it is. Trump Media Company just announced massive losses that occurred in the last quarter. There were massive losses in the quarter before that. But for the second quarter, which was the 3 months through June, the Trump social media company, Truth Social, lost $238 million in those 3 months. They've brought on a new CEO who says, we're going to stop getting into crypto and we're going to stop doing all these other business lines, but we are going to really lean into the insider trading portion. It's my opinion of what this is. You may disagree with that opinion, but we're going to really lean into the service called Truth API, and that offers early access to Wall Street trading firms to view Donald Trump's posts first so they can get an edge. And when you looked at the financials for the last 3 months, what you'll see is that trading firms did indeed purchase this. More than 10 firms have signed up for Trump's media's Truth API, with subscriptions costing from $60,000 to $100,000. And so this is where Truth Social is going to really push in order to stop losing $238 million, getting more people to pay that $100,000 per month fee. Let me repeat that. It's a per month fee. Donald Trump getting other horrible news internationally as well. In Qatar, their foreign ministry is actually applauding the Mecca alliance between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey. We believe Egypt is likely going to be joining that Mecca alliance as well. We've been talking about here on the MeidasTouch network that there are these broader international alliances now and regional alliances forming as the United States security umbrella has been utterly extinguished. And Donald Trump has run out of weapons in the war. And Donald Trump now has a situation where our strategic petroleum reserves have hit tank bottom, and there's all-time low morale above the U.S. supercarriers. And so, the Wall Street Journal also reporting this morning that for all of these Middle East nations, they have accepted at this point that the new normal will be Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz, and they all view Donald Trump as just an absolute loser. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson said the following: "We welcome any regional cooperation for the sake of security and stability and defense in the region. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan, and countries that we have good relationships. We have brotherly relations based on the common destiny and common worries, and we welcome this step and we support it." As I note, the Wall Street Journal reports Gulf states accept a new normal in Hormuz. Iran is in control. Gulf energy producers have completely lost faith in the Trump regime, and they're accepting Iran's permanent control over the Strait of Hormuz. Gulf states don't love the idea that the emerging situation will formalize Iranians' oversight of inbound ships, but they see it as the least bad option. Also, when you talk about this Mecca alliance, it's important to note that if you look at Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, It's also being done as a kind of counter reaction to the Abraham Accords. The Abraham Accords was trying to link these Arab nations with Israel, with Netanyahu, and the Mecca alliance is all about moving it in the other direction. And that has Netanyahu and the Netanyahu regime very worried. Netanyahu posting videos like this morning. He points to the Golan Heights, which the United Nations and many others recognizes as being part of Syria, which was annexed by Israel in the late 1960s. And Netanyahu, again, just pointing to a map. This is how he's basically running his election campaign. He goes, this is the Golan Heights. The Israeli flag flies here, and it will continue to fly here because this is our land. Today it's ours. It's back to being ours, and it will always be ours. And this is interesting, too, because you have in Syria their new leader who used to go by al-Jilani, who's now al-Shara, the leader of Syria. It's an important thing, for Syria to have its territory, when it considers its territory, the Golan Heights, to go back to Syria. And, you have Netanyahu saying that. You have Netanyahu continuing to strike in Lebanon. And of course, as we reported this weekend and yesterday as well, the Netanyahu regime has completely rejected the Gaza peace plan by the so-called Board of Peace that Trump was bragging about 2 weeks ago. The price of crude is surging as well. The world doesn't like Donald Trump's new posture of, we're just going to wait and see. We're going to semi-negotiate. We're really winning. We control the Strait of Hormuz. Nobody buys that at all. Donald Trump then gave a deranged interview with one of these right-wing propaganda networks, Real American Voices, and Donald Trump just showed what an absolute lunatic he is. Again, he certainly wants to avoid the topic about how cowardly and pathetic he is, that he now golfs with anti-ballistic and anti-drone missile systems following him around, and he has military officials follow him around when he golfs, and he hides in catering trucks and catering containers like an absolute coward. But here he is, just in a deranged, lunatic way, talking about grass being alive, and it's a big deal. I'm focused on the grass in D.C. I don't even know what you're talking about. You've destroyed the grass in D.C. Your UFC event, the way you've engaged in all of this, horrific construction. Like, if you look at DC right now, it looks like a freaking junkyard. It looks horrible. Here's what he says. Let's play it.
We're changing the grass in the parks. People laugh, oh, he's changing the grass that's a big deal. It's a big deal. The grass, grass has lives just like people have lives. And this grass has been there for like 50, 60 years. And we're doing a job. This place looks so beautiful.
More whining by Donald Trump about windmills. And the American people are just sick of this crap. We're sick of it. We don't need cowardly loser liars who just care about themselves. Here's what he said. Let's play it.
All the birds are dead. You want to see a bird graveyard? Go under a windmill sometime, and you'll see thousands of dead birds.
And then the media will never say a word.
They love it.
And the media will never say a word.
They love wind. We love wind.
And then here's what this lunatic was saying about Iran. And he was like, we're winning. We have control. It's like, okay, idiot. Okay, go hide in a container truck. Okay, go hide in a Turkish catering container truck and just get the hell away from us, honestly. I'm going to show you what he just posted in a moment as well. Let's play it.
I don't talk about strategy. Why should I talk strategy? Maybe, but we have three powerful strategies. We could just keep it along, and they're going to fail. We could just keep, doing sort of just like nice and easy, relaxed. Like I said, I'm sort of negotiating. You see, they're very devious negotiators because they'll agree to something, then they'll go out and tell the press that they did not do it. No, they're very dishonest people. So we have three strategies. Do what I'm doing now, just bop along and look how bad they're doing because the nations, they've got 300% inflation. They have no value. Their currency has almost no value. They're not paying their soldiers. Their soldiers are leaving. So just keep that going because that's not sustainable. Hit them really, really hard, or really the third is just beat them economically. But we're doing that anyway. That's sort of a part.
And then this was his view about the MMR vaccine. You got to separate the M from the M, and then separate the R, and then it's healthy. But if you put M, and R together, it's nuclear. It's an explosive. So if you do MMR vaccine, it's nuclear. What do you mean it's nuclear? Shut up. Shut up. What are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
I mean, certain studies. So what do you have to lose? You know what I'm doing? I'm saying, what do you have to lose? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Nobody's going to get hurt by it. MMR. Right. If you give them separately, the M, and the R, it's fine. When you put them together, they're sort of like a nuclear weapon, according to some. So why wouldn't you give them separately?
And so this is what he posted this morning, and I think it's notable as well. He writes, the New York City pied-à-terre tax is costing New York City state a fortune, and that the money eventually to be gotten is very little compared to the taxes paid by the tens of thousands of people who are fleeing the city never to return. Florida, Texas, and numerous other states are making an absolute fortune. This dangerous political experiment in New York will destroy what was once a great city and state. It is pure amateur hour, and it is hard as president of the United States to sit back and watch it happen, especially to a place I once loved. Financial and then social ruin is 100% certainty. And then the radical left jihadist charge congestion pricing on top of everything else. This doesn't work in America and must be stopped now. So, Donald Trump's made somewhere between $4 to maybe even as much as $10 billion last year. On paper, he says it's $4 billion, but I think he's understating it. So what he's complaining about here, the pied-à-terre tax in New York City, is a New York City law that just went into effect, which said for millionaires who have second homes valued at millions of dollars, that's not their primary residence in New York City, they have to pay a small tax for keeping a non-primary residence in New York City and using up the New York City resources and using up the services so that they can just basically park a second home that's not their primary residence. You're talking about a 1% or so, slightly more, a 1% kind of annual tax. So on a $20 million home, you're talking about a $200,000, around $200,000 tax on the pied-à-terre. A second home is basically what is what at home. If it's a primary residence, this doesn't affect you. So why would this make people want to flee New York if this is a second residence anyway? And if you want to know why Donald Trump's ranting and raving about it, it's because the tax impacts him. Okay, he has a home and residences in New York City, and he claims that he lives in Florida. And one of the issues that people see in New York is that people keep a house in Florida where they claim as their primary residence so that they can try to avoid state income taxes there while they have a second home in New York. And so they try to avoid basically paying taxes and get, not paying New York taxes, and avoid paying taxes in Florida, and then keep a second home in New York City. And then there are just people who buy second homes in New York City for millions and millions of dollars. Look, if you care about affordability, I know for Donald Trump, that's a word that he just learned, affordability. And he said that it's a made up word. There has to be certain ways to raise funding for things that actually benefit the people, not benefit the billionaires. And when you're talking about, again, on a $20 million second residence, that's not your primary residence, and that's often being used as a way that someone can then live in Florida and then also have the home in New York just to avoid paying, taxes in general. This is trying to address that. And so this tax impacts Trump, and it impacts people who live in Trump Tower. That's why for Trump, this is the end of civilization, because it impacts him, right? And because it took effect after his settlement, which is May 19th with the Department of Justice, that waives all of his taxes before the date of the settlement, not after. And this took place in July. So that to me is why he's freaking out right here, about this specific tax. But that's just my opinion. Again, it's a second residence, or not a residence, just the second home. That's not your primary residence tax. Hit subscribe. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.